covering for Sam, who is off, had to take leave today. Welcome everybody to the Economy and Environment Infrastructure PDC. It's Thursday the 17th of December. Can I have apologies for absences?
Apologies from Councillors June Burtonshaw, Miles Langston and Mike White.
Okie dokie. Any disclosures of personal and prejudicial interests? No. Good to the minutes then of item 3 for accuracy. Page 1, page 2, page 3. Anything on the minutes? No. Okay. Martin, I presume you're presenting this agenda item on 4.
Thank you, Chair. I had presumed that Penny Griffith was who prepared the report was attending to present it, in obviously in welcome input from the cabinet members. But unfortunately, I can't see Penny on the call, so I'm quite happy to introduce the report if that helps members.
Yeah, David Hopkins have just come in now. I can see. Welcome, David. David.
Thank you, Chair, for inviting us to this meeting today to actually present the green infrastructure policy. Policy's been out for some time, and it's obviously been to the PDC previously. It's got out for consultation. There's never been a better time to introduce this. I think from a developer point of view, we have got ambitious plans within the city that we're looking at regenerating the city, and incorporating that obviously the green infrastructure policy is a fantastic tool for us to deliver the right legacy for future generations. And I'm quite inspired with the way that this policy has been developed in partnership with National Resources Wales, Fran at Natural Resources Wales, and Penny have worked very, very hard on this particular thing. And I know that from I'm looking forward to seeing SPG that would come to the planning committee at very future dates to ensure that we deliver alongside our LDP the right placemaking and how we can actually influence the developments within this city centre. I think it's quite encouraging when you look at some of the, normally we'd see developers running miles when we come up with this, but now they're actually buying into it. They're approaching us. They know our stance with it environmentally as a city. And I use the biophilic application that's coming before us very shortly at the old Woolworths building as a fantastic partnership with the university. That is only possible because, in my opinion, because of our commitment to our biodiversity and taking this city forward and leaving the proper legacy for our children, our grandchildren, and so on. So this ties in it's not a standalone document. This, in my opinion, is bought in by a whole council approach. You know, every cabinet member could have claimed this today, and I'm proud to actually be part of that team who's committed to delivering this. So I'm more than happy to take some questions along the way. I thought Penny was joining us. She might have some technical issues. I spoke to her earlier. But apart from that, all I can say is happy to take any questions. And hopefully when it comes to Cabinet, I believe it's in February, it's due back to us in Cabinet, that we can have some positive comments from the PDC and obviously looking forward to hearing them comments.
Okay, thank you, David, for being present. Any members wish to ask David any questions on this item? I know in full well David have got an hospital appointment at 3 o'clock, so you'll have to duck out early. So any questions, members? No? Okay then, Martin, I think we will sit back and listen to what you have to say.
I think I think Penny has now joined us
Yeah,
as well.
Penny has arrived. So that's what I was going to just say, Chair, is Penny's just joined the meeting. But if I may just briefly add to what Councillor Hopkins has said, just to put this into context of our previous discussion at the last meeting around the role of the PDC and where it should focus attention on genuine input into new policy development. I don't think it gets much better than this one. The PDC previously input significantly into this prior to the draft strategy going out for public consultation, and the fact that it's coming back here now at the request of the committee to receive the views back from the public consultation exercise and to inform that prior to it going on to Cabinet, as Councillor Hopkins has said in February, I think is the way in which the PDC can work and should work in terms of that positive contribution to the future policy direction of the council. So I wanted to put that into context because I know we discussed previously around, how to maximise the use of all of our time, and I think this is a really good example of how that's worked. I'm grateful that Penny has now joined the meeting, Chair. So did you want Penny to take members through the report or just highlight the key aspects of it?
I would ask her to do key aspects of it because it's an extensive report, and I know Cabinet members and yourself and officers have got other things on your plate. So yeah, quite welcome for Penny to take it through.
Okay, thank you very much. Apologise for not joining you immediately. I had a couple of technical issues. Anyway, the report, I guess, just to give you a really quick sort of lowdown on where we are and some of the key elements about it, is this has been something that the council has been working on, or we've been working on with the help of PDC for about 18 months now, and it's been a really successful process. It's very much about taking advantage of the regeneration that's going on in the city centre and making sure that we incorporate as much green infrastructure as possible in that regeneration to really build a resilient city centre fit for the future, good for people's health and well-being, good for our local economy, focusing on a destination to dwell and a destination to visit, and good for our environment as well by bringing nature back through the city centre, the Swansea central area. And it's, as I say, it's sort of we started this particular strategy about 18 months ago now. We did extensive engagement before we even put pen to paper, talking to stakeholders, talking to our partners, talking to members of the public. We spoke to over 300 members of the public face to face in the city centre, asking them what nature in the city meant to them, talking to officers in the council. This has been a joint project between Swansea Council and NRW, so really good example of collaborative working of two public sector organisations working together towards the same goal, which is to create a sort of a better, healthier, greener Swansea city centre for our wellbeing and wildlife for the community. So from that point of view, it's a really successful project. And what the first version of the strategy came out of that extensive engagement, and where our vision, which is on page 18, I think it is, the vision is, and this came out of the conversations, sorry, I apologize, it's on page 17, came out of the conversations we had through the engagement, and the vision was for a city with high multifunctional green infrastructure which delivers resilience, prosperity, nature, health, well-being and happiness to the citizens and visitors of Swansea. We had a set of strategic objectives with that. We went out to consultation this time last year. We had good response back from the consultation. We did it through a survey on the internet, and also we held a face-to-face drop-in session in the Swansea Central Library for members of the public, and we also visited and engaged with the schools. We engaged with the 4 primary schools at the engagement stage and also at the consultation stage. We went back and took our vision and our objectives to them and asked their opinion as well. And we had really high support for what we were doing. I think it was over 3/4 of the responses to the strategy said that, to the survey on the strategy said that they supported our vision. We had some fantastic feedback, as I say, from members of the public, but also professionals and stakeholders, and our professional stakeholders as well. Some fantastic feedback, and we've taken that feedback and we've put that into the final version of the strategy. So the main changes that you will see in it is we have tweaked our strategic objectives, and they are to provide a high quality, nature-rich environment, to create a distinctive destination city, to ensure the city is resilient to the impacts of climate change, to ensure stakeholder and community involvement and design and the design and maintenance of GI, and to create a skilled and knowledgeable local economy to deliver and maintain GI. So those strategic objectives are very much about benefiting from the benefits of GI to climate change and to our health and well-being, but also to build the local economy so that we have practitioners across the economy in Swansea that can actually install and manage and maintain GI as well. We've also got a couple of targets which we've now got in the document. We've got some performance indicators and in particular some targets. The targets look to increase terrestrial GI to 26%, which it's currently at 13, so that's to double it by 2030, and also to look to increase our canopy cover to 20 to 25% by 2044. These are ambitious targets, but they're ambitious in a way that actually drives us to achieve what we really want to achieve, working in partnership. And I do really believe that they are achievable if we do work together jointly across the council and also with our partners in the private, public and third sector. I think these are achievable, and the benefits will be significant, obviously, to people living and visiting the Swansea city centre. We also have a tool, a green space factor tool, which basically measures the permeability of space, of green space in the city centre. And by measuring permeability, it's measuring our ability to suck up and absorb water, but also our contribution to biodiversity and amenity. So it aligns really well with the new SUD strategy and the SUD standards that have come out of the Welsh Government and that we now have to apply in the council. So it aligns well to that. It aligns incredibly well to the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, the Environment Act, and obviously the council's declaration climate emergency as well. Hopefully that gives you a quick sort of canter through where we are. We have tested elements of it. We've piloted the GI, the toolkit already, and we have colleagues in the council. We're working together in the council already on the regeneration work in the city centre to apply this strategy. And we also have developers, private developers, doing the same as well because of the collaborative way that we have developed the strategy. I hope that sort of summarises what the report says. And obviously, if anybody has any comments or any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Penny. Yeah, I can see one hand up at the moment. Peter Jones.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think this is an extraordinarily good piece of work, and it's very impressive. I can honestly say I spent most of yesterday afternoon and this morning reading my way through both the report and the consultation document and so forth. I can't claim to have read every word, but I think I've read about 90% of it at least, which I think is quite an achievement in the time available. But it's an extraordinary piece of work, and I congratulate Penny, Fran. I know Fran very well, Fran Rolfe, NRW, and her contribution in particular to this document, which I know has been considerable. I attended a number of the meetings early on in the process that Fran, her colleagues with the consultation, with the, the sort of outside consultant group in London who advised on the technicalities of GI, was very impressed. I know a great deal of care and work has gone into the preparation and presentation of this document. It's so pleasing. When I came onto the council, 3.5 years ago now, if I had one ambition, it was to see a greening of the city, a greening of Swansea. And we're doing it. We've made the preparation, we've got the document, it's going to happen. And I'm really, really pleased to see this going ahead. Obviously, the devil will be in the detail, and no doubt there'll be issues and problems as it goes forward. I mean, it'll be particularly interesting to see what impact it can have on biodiversity in particular in the city centre. Bird life obviously will benefit in due course. Whether other mammal species will benefit remains, I think, to be seen on something like the same scale, but there can only be benefits. And clearly in terms of carbon emission reduction, sequestration and so forth, it can only be to the good. So everything, I think, it is described as multifunctional, as a document and as a strategy. It is multifunctional. There are so many benefits that will derive, Swansea residents will derive from this strategy. And I hope it will contribute towards our bid into due course, David, for biophilic status, which I'm sure Swansea now will be in the running to secure, partly as a consequence of this. If there's one area that I remain concerned about, it's air quality. I know the document does address that issue, and obviously more trees, more vegetation, GI will contribute to sequestrating traffic fumes, NO2 and so forth. But there remains a concern to me, and I noticed in the document that traffic in Swansea was not considered as being part of the terms of reference, if you like, of the GI exercise. And I understand that. But we really need to have a good look, I think, at air quality issues, because with traffic continuing into the city centre, motor traffic and so on, there is therefore a sort of a slight contradiction, if you like. On the one hand, we're through GI taking CO2 out of the atmosphere, and through motor vehicles we're putting NOx, in particular nitrates, back into the atmosphere. So there's a concern there. But having said that, the council is to be congratulated on this document. It's a wonderful step forward, and I congratulate Fran. I know the people in the nature conservation team have done, including yourself, Penny, have done an enormous amount of work. This will set Swansea ahead of Wales in terms of green infrastructure. Thank you very much for what you've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. See David Hopkins, if you'd like to come back in.
Yeah, could I just say I'm going to have to leave in a very short time, but obviously with traffic, as Peter has alluded to, we do have some traffic issues in Swansea, same as any other major city. But I know that Councillor Andrew Lewis and the leader and Councillor Mark Thomas are keen to actually look at air quality, and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and hopefully with battery power and what I see, hydrogen going forward, hopefully we can try to alleviate some of that. And also, I believe that with a new metro system, perhaps we can also include that with a proper and a purpose-built, what I would say, public transportation system would help matters too. Anyway, my belief, yet again, I know Penny missed my initial thank you. I personally would put on record my thanks to yourself and to Fran and every other member in the council for actually buying into this. Because I said right at the beginning, this is not a standalone document. This will have to be ownership across the beast. And I must say, you've done an incredible amount of work in an incredible short period of time. So well done.
Yeah. Thanks, David. Phil, do you want to come in?
Yeah, just a quick one, Chair. Just a small comment on the report. It's an excellent report. I haven't read 90% of the words like Peter, so I apologise for that. But the one thing, before David goes, when you did mention about the LGP and the supplementary planning guidance that's going to come out of this, and I think the one that pricked my ears up is when you said developers are buying into this. So when the supplementary planning guidance comes in, will this then be used by planning to all developments around the town centres of the county of Swansea, not just the centre?
Yeah, eventually that is our ambition, that it will be a county-wide thing. Obviously, there's never been a better time to implement this in the city centre where the regeneration is taking place at the moment. But yes, it is our ambition to have a county-wide green infrastructure policy, greening policy. So, and hopefully we can get the same buy-in across the authority, not just within the city centre as we see at the present time. But I think Penny alluded to what we need to do is obviously put a budget in place to maintain this. It's all well and good putting these things in place, but maintain them. It must be a priority going forward.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Martin, you'd like to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was just going to refer back to a point that David made earlier around This fits in with, as you'll all be aware, with the wider climate change policy. So it's one of the core underpinning strands. And I think the benefit of it being included in that suite of policies is that over a period of time, over the next few months and next 12 months, across the council, officers will be able to make sure that all those relevant policies read across to each other. So we're not dealing with these opportunities in isolation. So I think that will very much be a positive that it's part of that total suite. Secondly, I know we're obviously not here to discuss budget implications today, but Cabinet will have the opportunity when they consider the report, when it comes forward, as to whether or not there are any budget implications arising out of this new policy and how they would deal with that. And that's a matter of choice for Cabinet based on any recommendations that the committee wish to make. And thirdly, I'll then hand over to Penny, who may be able to elaborate on this. My understanding is that this was the first stage of that three-stage process. So the core city centre, with the intention of widening the green infrastructure out across the whole of the city and county of Swansea. I'm not sure we have a timeline for that, and I'll put Penny on the spot and ask whether she's able to advise that, because I think it depends on ongoing funding and commitment, not just of ourselves, but also of NRW as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Go on, Penny.
Sorry, I apologise for interrupting. Yeah, I wanted to pick up on 2 points. Obviously, firstly, what Martin's asked, but also just I think as both Martin and David have said, it was a really good cross-disciplinary team. The steering group has included colleagues that's overseen this project, has included colleagues from planning, from development control, from the regeneration team, from parks. We've had Dan Macaulay from SUDS and drainage. So we've had quite a cross-disciplinary team to make sure that we are making those connections and making sure that we've got the appropriate interventions at all parts once it's been adopted, and the appropriate levels of training. And that was also one of the benefits of working with Green Infrastructure Consultancy, who came in to help us produce this strategy. They are world-known experts in urban green infrastructure. So it's been like a real learning opportunity for those officers as well. We've been able to learn from them as worldwide experts. To then move on to what Martin was saying, we originally wanted to write a county-wide strategy, and we still intend to write a county-wide strategy. We decided to focus on the city centre first because of the opportunities of the regeneration that was taking place. Now, actually, back in February, Fran and I had started the engagement process for the county-wide strategy. And unfortunately, that's obviously had to stop because of the current COVID situation. So the hope is that once we can all go back to meeting face to face and we can do proper engagement with people, we'll start the engagement process on the county-wide strategy. Obviously, it's a little bit different. The city centre strategy can focus much more around planning. It's a smaller area. We need to consider much more in a county-wide strategy. We need to consider the rural hinterland. We need to consider smaller sort of the towns and the villages, and they will have different needs and requirements. But ultimately, this city centre document will become part of that, and I expect it will influence, particularly in the vision and our principles for GI will all sort of go across into that county-wide strategy. So the two documents will sit very closely together. The original plan was to write it over sort of an 18-month period starting in the beginning of this year. So I see that obviously being set back, hopefully not more than about a year. But I'd like to think that once this strategy is adopted, we can move very quickly into the county strategy. I think that the difficulty is that alongside writing the county strategy, we also need to provide enough training and awareness raising to actually roll this strategy out and make it successful, and sort of write an action plan for that as well. So the two are going to be alongside each other, and at the same time also related to all the SPGs, the biodiversity SPG, the GI SPG, etc., with under the local planning, local development plan.
Thank you, Sarah. Paxton, I see your hand up, mate.
Thank you, Chairman. Basically, in terms of the report, first of all, I think it is an excellent document as well. I think Peter's gone through it in terms of what needs to be said in that respect, so I'm not going to expand on that except to say thank you very much indeed. It is a really good project and it needs to be expanded, as you say. What I really wanted to pick up on was what David was saying earlier about it's all very well to put these systems in place, but they have got to be maintained afterwards. And I think that is key. I've made this point on a number of occasions at these meetings. And if it's going to Cabinet, I think it's one of those things that Cabinet needs to be certainly considering in depth as to how we are going to fund the maintenance of that work ongoing. So that was only the point I wanted to make. But thank you very much for the report. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Chair. RF, would you like to come in or anything? Like to say anything, Rob?
Sorry, before you do, could I just apologise? I'm going to have to leave. I would like just to thank for the positive comments that we've had here today. And I obviously, we'll take them forward to Cabinet. Hopefully, we'll hit the target of February. I know that Councillor Robert Francis Davis is here, who's also got a huge input into this document. So I'll leave you in his safe hands. So thank you all for listening and look after yourself. See you soon.
Cheers, David. Thank you.
Bye.
Robert, would you like to come in? I think he's gone. Looking at the bottom of my screen. Any further questions for the officers? No? Well, I think we can all agree that this document has been carried out, putting the policy together and consultancy with numerous stakeholders. People have worked very, very hard. I think in 2.5 in the agenda, it says it all there. A city with high quality, multifunctional green infrastructure, delivering resilience. And nobody else got any questions. I think
If I could come in, Chair, sorry about that.
Oh, Rob, there we are.
I don't know what happened, but my signal cut out and I disappeared off just as David Hopkins was about to leave. But I can tell you we are working very closely, myself and David Hopkins, and not just that, but with Andrea Lewis as well, and Mark Thomas, where we're looking at any regeneration schemes to go ahead. The policy is upmost in our mind on anything that we're doing. And of course, Martin keeps us all in line as well with our policies. Not that there's any need to, for the simple reason it's something we all strongly believe in, and it is a good policy. I was quite pleased that some of the greening is that we're going to do in the front of the Dragon Hotel as well, and other buildings, living walls on the front of the buildings. So we get in the commercial side in Swansea buying into it, and I'm looking forward to the biophilic building coming on. That's going to be just off the Kingsway there. So there's a lot of interest, and I think that we can lead the way now on our policies on our green infrastructure.
Thank you, Rob. And just to go a big look, I'll be looking forward to working with you, Penny, and officers with the county-wide infrastructure. And this report is recommended for strategy to be approved for adoption. So is anybody against? I can't see it. No. And there's no abstentions. So we'll take this forward to Cabinet for February. Penny, I don't know if you're needed for the next item. If you wish to leave, thank you for all your invaluable work. Very, very much appreciated, and see you in the near future.
Thank you very much. I look forward to bringing the county strategy to you as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Go on to item 5, which is, let me get to it, please. It's a plan. Oh, I've lost it, sorry. There it is. Which is the Economy, Environment and Infrastructure PDC work plan for the next 18 months. On next month is climate change post-COVID-19 recovery and highways and transportation. Anything on that, Martin?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's specifically the transport aspect of the COVID recovery plan. So members will be aware that as part of the overarching climate change strategy, one of the areas that I wouldn't say is underdeveloped, but perhaps isn't as joined up as we would wish it to be as much as is possible, is around the sustainable transport aspect and how we can take the opportunity post-COVID to revise and review our existing transport policies to align with Council's aspiration around zero carbon and many of the things that we've talked about this afternoon already. There are a number of strands associated with that, which include everything from, sustainable public transport to the Council's existing fleet and our green fleet strategy that was developed by the previous PDC, and also linking into our fleet policy, the use of private vehicles, our agile working in terms of how we occupy our buildings. So it's a very wide-ranging policy, and it gives members the opportunity to hopefully input into all of that at a very early stage in its development. And I would imagine that this would need to come back during the course of the next 6 to 9 months on 2 or 3 occasions as we move it from a series of principles into a final draft policy for then approval by Cabinet later on in 2021. So it's the first time I think we've discussed it in this level of detail, and obviously we'll prepare a written report in advance, but it'll be very much a framework for discussion as opposed to the item we've just had, which was the end of the process where everything has been done. So it'll be the bones of the principles for obviously members to input into.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Our next meeting will be on the 21st of January. If there's nothing else, may I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know in times of COVID, it's on a downer, but enjoy yourself, stay safe, and we'll see each other in the new year. Martin, again, thank you for your time. You're invaluable as well. Thank you, mate.
You're welcome, Chair. Thank you all.
Yeah.
There we are. Close the meeting.
Merry Christmas to all. In case we don't meet.
Thank you, everyone.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Cheerio. Thanks now.
Bye.